Oh, Lumine. Are you okay?
Am I okay? Of course. Now that you've defeated Sigma, I suppose you're satisfied. Thanks to you, the plan has gone smoothly.
But Lumine, weren't you just used by Sigma?
Used? I don't think so. You see, he merely helped my plan along. The new generation Reploids have been awakened, and the new world is at hand.
I want to start talking so bad. But I think there's a little bit more dialogue first. Okay, no, cool. We're in the first phase of the fight. This is the culmination of everything I absolutely love about X8 as a game. So it wasn't Sigma at any point at all in this game. And I know that the subtlety...
It kind of was, but then Lumine took over, and Sigma didn't realize he was being played.
Yeah, or like in any even remote amount that way. And I think that's what's amazing about it, is everybody, throughout the entire course of the game, on the protagonist side, thinks they just get it. Because it's what it has been at least 7 times prior, not counting what goes on in the Game Boy games. It's Sigma. It has to be Sigma. This has all of the hallmarks of Sigma's doing. Everybody is behaving like they would under Sigma. It's Sigma. And it's not.
Yeah, like, even when the Reploids, when X directly asked why Sigma's doing it, they all refer to
their master. They never refer to anybody by name, and Vile is the closest one that comes to it, and even then, Vile's just kind of being a dick. So, there's a lot here that we're going to get in more cutscenes that I won't directly talk about yet. Instead, what I'll talk about is how fucking cool this phase of this boss is. Lumine fights explicitly by using the overdrive attacks of all 8 previous bosses, which, in my opinion, is absolutely incredibly cool. He's got a combination of all of the strongest attacks in the game. And it's basically just a complete showcase of his power as an enemy, where it's like, holy shit, you can do this! And apparently, his weakness weapon becomes whatever the weakness is of the current soul that he's equipped, or DNA core, or whatever you want to call them. I'm not really sure if that checks out. It's a really hectic thing to keep up with it. It's very Kirby 64, which I appreciate, if you're familiar with the regular final boss in that game, where you have to counterattack, basically, but kind of in reverse. And I love it. I love the aesthetic of this boss fight. I love the concept behind it. I love all the story elements leading up to it. I love the fact that he can dish out all of this damage based purely on what he's doing as a contextual character. Like, it's just cool in all ways, and I could go on and on about it repetitively, I might add, because I'm being very repetitive right now. And now we're going to get more about what's actually going on.
Lumine! What are you doing? Don't tell me you've gone Maverick too.
So important.
Maverick? You don't really think that's the case, do you? That's why you can't finish me off, right? You don't have it in you. The copy chips we new generation Reploids possess, they were derived from data from hundreds of old model Reploids. That means, of course, that Sigma was also included in the mix. Do you understand what I'm getting at here?
Yes, and it's amazing.
Copy chip? Sigma? Does that mean that I'll go nuts like he did?
Sorry, but prototypes like you don't have the specs to cause something like that. Besides, was Sigma really crazy? He rebelled against your world, but he had his reasons. The rest of us new Reploids could turn like that at any moment.
Oh, it's so good! I can't stop.
This decision to wage battle against the old world was made consciously. In other words, we possess the power to go Maverick at will.
Oh, I want to talk about this so much.
X, do you really have what it takes to stop us? You're merely tools of the humans, tools of the old world. You think you can stand up to those of us who have evolved this far? The world is changing. Therefore, it's only natural that evolution take its course. Now line up to be exterminated.
That would have killed Sigma and X7, just saying!
Don't let him get to you, X. He's the enemy.
Enemy, ally. This issue isn't so black and white. Reploids, along with humanity, have irrevocably changed. The nature of their existence has also changed. You are not needed in our new world.
You can babble all you want, but we're not gonna let you get away with this.
Okay, so, a lot of really, really important stuff just got mentioned.
Also, this is happening.
Yeah, also this is happening. And this will now become a recurring thing in the Mega Man franchise, is very seraphic final bosses, which I'm a fan of. Let it be pointed out that Lumine basically just bent reality around himself, and now instead of the moon, we're in heaven, and that's kind of intimidating when you stop and think about it. So, basically the Maverick virus is now inconsequential. Like, what Lumine is basically describing, at least in the way I interpret it, is like the actual birth of true free will, where if you want to fight against the humans, you can do that, and it's not a virus or a berserk state or Sigma mind controlling anybody. It's just a thing that the new generation Reploids decided this is the thing that makes the most sense to us. We're clearly superior and we should be in charge. We're going to do it. You cannot stop us. And it's based off of pretty rational learning on the designers of Reploid's sides. Like, hey, the Maverick virus has been a real problem for a real long time. Let's make a next generation of machinery based on everything that we've seen and learned and do something about it. And that's ultimately what bites everything in the ass. Go ahead.
I would like to think that that was the original intent. Sigma learned about it, is like, we'll put some me in that, and then that just fucked everyone.
So, I could see it going either way, because when you think about it from a scientific standpoint, as stupid as an idea as it would be, having Sigma in the mix makes sense because he's the first Reploid and the root of all the problems. If you're not including that data in there, then the chances are pretty good that you're not actually going to get that much meaningful out of it, because you're only going to see what he's affected and not what he's capable of doing. So, on the one hand, you could say it's part of a Grandmaster plan, but on the other hand, you could just say that it's science operating as science.
Like, Sigma pretty much implied that that was his Grandmaster plan, what with them being his children, and then the children were like, fuck no, we got our own thing going, get the hell out of here.
But you could just as easily assume that because of how powerful the new generation Reploids are, they just made Sigma think that he did that. Since, like, really, when you think about it, everybody thought that he was using Lumine, but Lumine basically outright says, like, no, it's the exact opposite of that. We were in control of this whole thing. And that, to me, is such a good plot development, even though you can kind of see Lumine as a villain coming from a mile away in the intro. It's not subtle at all. It's still an instance of, like, well, it's still going to be Gate. You know, Sigma's still going to be the last fight, or Sigma's still going to be the root cause, and in this instance, he isn't. So, after that gauntlet of really cool attacks, we now have Paradise Lost, which is the subtitle of the game, again, subtlety being spelled with bricks. What you need to do here is eliminate Lumine's guard. This is a timed attack. You can see shadows on the sides of the screen encroaching in on you. You need to break the guard, make sure that he's damageable, and then finish him off. Otherwise, you will lose, and you will have to start over at the first phase. The X attack works as normal. That's it, we've completed the X series. We are going to get one more cutscene after this, but also I want to point out that I really like that boss design.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that Sigma always goes for a very sort of junk, devilish look.
Unbelievable.
And then we get Lumine as kind of a actual refresher.
I need that icon.
But it's too late to stop what's already begun.
I'll take on plenty more like you.
This is more important dialogue, though.
You really don't have a grasp of the situation, do you? Oh well. You'll find out soon enough.
So the implication there is basically like, okay, well, we'll fight another Sigma if we have to. We'll fight another Lumine. It's like, no, it's everyone. It's over. You lost. And, like, that's really sort of somber and bad, like, and heavy to think about. Like, the Maverick Hunters failed, basically, even though it seems like they've beaten the big bad. It's now just a worldwide problem that exists. There isn't a virus to eradicate. It is inherent. It's just present, and there's nothing that can be done about it. And then this happens! Everyone, like a good team, jumps in immediately. I love this cutscene. It's all completely in character for everybody, including Axel. Like, you would think, like, no, why would you do that? That's stupid. But
It's Axel.
He's the young and experienced one, and it's like, hey, we did it, I'm gonna go check things out. And it's just, it fits, everything is so good. I love this.
X, status report.
This is X. Axel has taken damage, but he's fine. We're headed back now.
We get this good sort of
Awakening.
rallying.
That's how Lumine described it. He said this was evolution. If he's right, then what are we doing?
So, everybody, whoever defeats Lumine gets a little blurb at the end. They're basically...
X and Zero gets a blurb.
Well, everyone gets a thing. That's X's, which I'll talk about during the credits. I'll talk a lot about during the credits. There's going to be a lot of black talking here.
I bet you've been thinking about what Lumine was saying a while ago.
I can read your mind,
Well,
X.
don't let it get to you. Just becoming Sigma could hardly be called evolution. Anyway, X. Even if we Reploids are destined to join the scrap heap when that evolutionary step does come about, we still have to fight, not only against Mavericks, but against our own destiny as well.
I really like that as an ending note, where it's like, no matter what, we're gonna just have to kind of keep pushing forward. You can kind of argue that that's more set up for, like, X-Zero finally, but I choose to take it a completely different direction, personally.
And then the series got cancelled.
Kind of, basically. I mean, it does all progress into Zero.
Well, yeah,
and
but
onward.
I think at this point, Zero had already been out.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is they kind of intentionally tried to link it together, and I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
And I would like more of this, but that's a completely different level of discussion. What I want to talk a little bit about before the credits run too thin is that evolutionary thing. Is basically the entire concept of robotics throughout the Mega Man franchise, now up to this point and then furthered in Zero and ZX and onward, is getting everything closer and closer to being human. That closes off in the pretty exceedingly complex Legends, which is generally thought of to be the ending of the regular storyline and not EXE or its own third storyline, wherein, the machines in that one are indistinguishable from people. Like, you would never, ever, ever be able to tell, and that kind of goes in reverse. So in the classic ones, you have the Robot Masters who still kind of look machine-like. They're not all human. You've got the Reploids in this one that are pretty close. They've got freedom of will, but there's still those limiters in place, and that's the whole question about what is Maverick, what is New Generation now, is basically like making that gap even less distinguishable than it was to begin with. In the Zero series, there's even romances between humans and Reploids, which is very infrequent but present. By ZX, Reploids are so close that they have marks on their foreheads because otherwise you wouldn't be able to tell. And because of Neo Arcadia and all of the events of, hey, Reploids should be feared, they're basically a police state now, they need to be able to be easily identified or else some really scary things could happen, and then, that cuts all the way through.
Has its own implications.
But that's the whole point, is it's summed up at the end of this with something that's really sad that I'll talk about when it's relevant, but all of it is, it starts off with the ideal of robots and humans living together, and it kind of spirals out of control into what's essentially a race war, and when you stop and think about that with the ending we just got where it's like, no, we're not Mavericks, this is just life now, that's really deep and philosophical and amazing, and it's just a platform action game, and I love that that's present, and I love that that's how we got an end to the X series and moved forward into the other ones that kind of forward that thought pretty well. Like, some of it gets hokey. ZX, you can't take super seriously.
Like,
but
at some point, don't the two separations kind of disappear and it's just one sort of cyborg race?
Kinda. Again, that's
I've never
Legends.
played ZX at all, so...
It gets pretty complicated. There's a lot of assumptions thrown in, which I think is intentional on the developers' part. They talk about how they like to plant the seeds of imagination in their players. But yeah, I like that as an ending for X. This is the part where I once again point out that I don't want an X9. I would like filler episodes of sorts and then more expansion past X, but I don't want Sigma to come back. I don't want Lumine to come back. I want that. That's the all-encompassing ending. But this is the now important part. So, we basically have this whole thing where, guys, new generation Reploids are real bad. We need to work on this. We have to stop production. This is dangerous. But because of humanity being humanity, they're like, well, they're really convenient, though, and we want to move to space, so we're going to start again anyway, despite everybody warning them to not do that. So, years later, they do start making new generation Reploids again, which kind of kickstarts the Arcadia and like the Elf Wars and everything, wherein this was a mistake. We should have known better. And then you get this. Humans and robots living together in harmony and equality. That was my ultimate wish, Dr. Thomas Light. And saying that out loud actually got me misty-eyed just now, because that's so mind-crushingly depressing, where it's like, all I wanted was for everything to be fine. And that sentiment is what started the entire X storyline, and it's the exact reason why everything goes completely wrong. And it's something that there was just no foresight for. Everybody did their best, and in the end, it's just evolution taking course. And that's the entire expanse of the X series, is entirely about that. When you look at it, when you kind of iron out the story details and erase the gaudy dialogue in your head and kind of make it so that what is presented in a concise and evened out, well-written way, is really thoughtful and thought-provoking and amazing and sad and good.
Like, Dr. Light has single-handedly had the most impact on this planet in
Ever.
Sort of like, and like, he's just trying to be good, but he fucks everything over.
Well, but that's the thing, is
Or
he does it, like, and that's such a good thing to bring up, because, like, you could put the blame on Light, you could put the blame on Wily, you could put it on Dr. Kang, you could put it on Sigma, you could put it on the Maverick Hunters, you could put it on so many different characters. Gate opens an entire Pandora's box even though he's not involved. Red makes a whole bunch of mistakes that he shouldn't have made, regardless of how good that story is, or bad, or whatever. The new generation Reploids are a product that didn't wish to be put into existence, but they were, and now they're at fault too. And it's like, you think about all of the individual bits and pieces and kind of realize that it's a whole. Like, there isn't one responsible party, it's just a natural thing that occurred. And that's so intricate for Jump and Shoot, man. Like, you could never... It's one of those things that, like, you don't stop and think about until you read that Dr. Light note at the end, and you're like, holy shit! This is really amazing, and can we get, like, a good movie of it or something? But anyway, I could talk about this for such a long
We
time.
probably can, just in the thread.
Probably. I do want to do a final thoughts video of some kind. I don't know exactly when.
Or how.
Or how.
Maybe Brady will be involved, maybe some of the other guests come in.
It depends. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I want to do to kind of follow up on this. That'll be the end of the event. This isn't technically the last episode, but it is the last episode of the last game.
Yeah, there's still a few more videos we want to make,
But, so, anyway, though, if your entire goal was watching through and seeing all the games, thank you so much for following through as long as this has been going on. This is like, I think I did the math, like, multiple seasons of actual television's worth of time spent on this. Like, there's a lot. So if you did watch every episode of one version, or if you picked and chose, thank you so much for watching through. It means a lot to me, at least. I'm sure you too, just because of all the work you put in. And
if you were insane enough to watch the entirety of both versions,
we'll mail you a t-shirt. I'll put something together, maybe, when I can financially sustain that. But if I don't stop myself, I'll keep going. So thank you again. It's been amazing. This is something that I've been wanting to do for years, and I'm glad that we're finally wrapping it up in a good way.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun working on this. A lot of stress, but a lot of fun.
I think worth it. I think it's helped us grow as people, and it seems like it's actually helped a lot of people kind of stop and think about narrative structure and stuff, which I really didn't expect out.
And then we talked about Gundam for a bit.
A whole lot. But yeah, so thank you again. That's it. We'll see you in whatever bonus content we have after this.
All these people in my life. I don't want to lose any more. And I won't give up this universe of ours. Masters taught me that. Our great homeland, our precious planet Earth, is the highest form of life. Stay back! Our spirits are aflame. If we feel the fire, there is nothing we cannot defeat. And now this hand of mine is burning red. Its loud roar tells me to grasp victory. Be